May the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, Lord, mighty God. It is Good Friday. And we gather together this evening and read the passion and the words of the prophets predicting the passion of the Son of God, the chosen one. But what does it mean in our lives today? You know how some questions that preachers ask are rhetorical and they're going to answer them themselves? This isn't one of those. So what does it mean? What does it mean for us that Jesus willingly, as the Son of God, allowed all of this to happen to him? Why did he do it? What was the point? This is like a jump question anybody can answer.
He loves us.
He loves us. Yes. That's why he did it. The Father sent the Son because the Father and the Son and the Spirit all love us. So out of love, Jesus mounts the cross willingly. And we pause on this day in particular to remember that. Out of God's love for us, what is the next thing that comes?
Salvation for all of us.
I'm glad you're sitting like right there. That's a good spot. Salvation for all of us. Other people can answer too, not just Jeff. Even though he's council president and does speak for the people, other people can also respond. Yes, we have elected him. He is our leader. We will follow him wherever he goes.
Right off the cliff.
Yep, just like the lemmings. Salvation. And salvation is brought about by the forgiveness of sins. Several decades ago, there was a preacher who could get a whole crowd yelling, "I am somebody." Anybody but me remember that? Does anybody else's hand move? Okay, a few people remember. Okay. What is brought about by the crucifixion of Jesus is that not only are we somebody, but we are forgiven. So let's try that a little bit differently. Instead of I am somebody, I am forgiven. I am forgiven. There's more people here than that. I am forgiven. You can be louder than that. I am forgiven. Yes. And because we are all forgiven through the death of Jesus Christ, through the cross, that's the lens. That's the lens through which all the rest of our lives must be viewed. In the past, sin, error, mistakes, bad things. The skinny part, like an hourglass where there's the top part and the bottom part, and when you turn it over, all the sand starts to come through that little tiny choke point. That little tiny point is Jesus' cross, is his passion and death for us, out of love for us. Jesus dies so that we can be forgiven. Where the sand goes, that's what our responsibility is now, to show the world what has happened for us, that we have been forgiven, that we have been healed from all the sins that we have ever committed, and all the sins we committed this morning. And when we come back again for the vigil or on Easter Sunday, we'll be forgiven for any sins we may commit between now and then. Because God's love is not stuck at some point. God's love for us through the death of Jesus is eternal. Because Jesus is the Son of God. Not Jesus was the Son of God, but Jesus is the Son of God, and God's actions are eternal. They don't just happen at one moment only. They have effects throughout all of creation, throughout all of time. And we're supposed to be living now as a forgiven people. And as a forgiven people, it is now our joy, our duty, and our responsibility to proclaim that forgiveness to everybody that we meet, no matter how often they sin, no matter what wrong they have done to us or will do to us. It is our responsibility as the people of the cross to proclaim that what Jesus did wasn't in vain, that it lives now in all of us who were baptized into his death, into the resurrection. It's Friday now. Sunday's still coming. But it's Friday now. And on Friday, we call it Good Friday. Not that horrible day where they nailed our Savior to a tree, but that wondrous day when we were all forgiven. Way back in the day before that preacher did the I am somebody thing, somebody wrote a song. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing. It was a pop song. It wasn't all that good, but there was a line in it that has a lot of meaning. You don't know what it's like to love somebody the way that I love you. That's what God says to us this night. The Bee Gees. Yes, see, somebody remembers. Back in the day, when records were made out of vinyl and tape was made out of petroleum-based product or whatever tape was made from. That's what God says to us in this gospel reading, in our forgiveness of sins. We don't know what it's like to love someone that much. That God did this for all creation, for all people, and for me, and for you, and for you, and for you. That we don't have any idea how great that love is that God has for all of us. That's why we call it Good Friday. That God loved us enough to be willing to go through all this, that we might be healed by his stripes, that we might experience God's love, that we might know how to live in being forgiving to one another and to all the rest of the world. That's our responsibility. That's our joy. That as we go forth from this place, we take that forgiveness that we continually receive and we continually give it away to all the people that bother us. And there's a lot of them. But we get to give the forgiveness that we received to everyone that we meet.